We are waiting for some people to hop in. Good morning, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving. The Houston Texans have been a terrible franchise the last couple of seasons, right? And of course, when people hop in, I'll repeat some of the things that I'm saying now. If people decide to hop in, first and foremost, I really want to say Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Whether it's the holiday or whether it's like if you take it serious or not, spending time with your family, your loved ones is always important. But the Houston Texan franchise has been terrible the last couple of seasons. A 4-win team with Deshaun Watson, a 4-win team without Deshaun Watson. And right now, I'm not 100% sure they even cracked a third win. They got one win right now. Um, I believe that they get the other game over the Jacksonville Jaguars this year, but I don't see more than 2 wins out of this franchise. And then this week, we have the press conference on Sunday, a game which I attended on Sunday against the Washington Commanders, where the Cron reporter, Brian Smith, asked a simple question to Lovey Smith, and Lovey Smith responded a little bit more aggressively than he normally would. But the question was simple. What is going on with Davis Mills? Are you guys going to put Kyle Allen out on the field? Like, what's going to happen with this quarterback situation? And right now, there are reports that Kyle Allen will be starting on Sunday. There's reports that Davis Mills still taking first team reps. And of course, if you've been taking first team reps all year and there isn't too many competitions on your roster at quarterback to compete with you, you're going to continue to do that, right? But, you know, it's an issue that I have with this franchise is why can't you be clear, right? So Pep Hamilton was asked whether or not they're going to make a change. He says no. Lovey says we're not going to announce anything like that to you guys. Nick Caserio's playing the Nick Caserio games, but when we see a similar situation in New York, right, their head coach says, yeah, we're not gonna play him this week. Zach Wilson is the third string quarterback now. Let it be known, rightfully so, and I think that's partially due to how Zach Wilson responded to whether or not he let the defense down, the team down, because he only had like 77 yards, and the defense held the Patriots to 3 points. He said no, it doesn't feel like it. So I think that's partially the reason why. But listen, what's going on with this Davis Mills experiment could have been two things, right? And I think the first thing is what is making people so hard for people to let go. Listen, if Davis Mills would have panned out, right? If he would have had a above average season, maybe even an average season, but if he would have panned out for this franchise, you guys got to realize that that would have set them up perfectly, right? Now you don't have to prioritize a quarterback, a first round quarterback. Now you have an opportunity to prioritize getting other areas on this team fixed, right? Receiver issues, right? More offensive line fixtures, defensive tackle, defensive ends, linebackers, right? There's so many other areas on this team that need some upgrades, and of course, this will be the first year, this upcoming offseason, where the Houston Texans have some money to spend in free agency. And they can't do what they did last free agency, right? If you guys remember the Houston Texans' last big free agency, Eric Murray received a ridiculously amount of money, right? The 3 years, I think $25 million, and that made it impossible for the Texans to nearly move on from him because of his contract, and he wasn't playing well enough for another team to want to take that on. They can't do that. But the reason why it's hard for people to let Davis Mills go is because of that. And I think a lot of people was hanging their hats on Davis Mills being successful. I was one of those people where I liked how Davis Mills ended the year off for 2021-22, right, in his rookie year. Right, he was on fire, and I was one of those people that said, listen, he played good enough for the Houston Texans to give him 17 games. A couple of years ago, it would have been 16. Now we're at 17 games, right? Welcome in to everybody who was just joining. You guys know who I am, John Hickman, some sports guy locked on Texans. Be sure you are subscribing. But because Davis Mills has been so bad this year, and I mean bad, this now forces the Houston Texans to reassess how they want to go about this rebuild. Let's be honest about it. If you have a quarterback, a third string quarterback, by the way, who plays well, again, as I mentioned, you can address other needs on your team, but then that contract won't be as crazy as some of these first round quarterbacks, right? But since he's playing bad, it's frustrating the entire franchise, guys. I'm telling you this. It's frustrating them, and I believe that it's really weighing heavy on the coaching staff. I don't think this is necessarily their decision, if I'm being completely honest with you. And I have an issue with this franchise right now. Once again, welcome in everybody who's just joining. Happy Thanksgiving. Make sure you are spending time with your family, friends, your loved ones. Be safe, spread love. But I don't think that this franchise has their own identity. This is why I was happy with what we saw with Robert Saleh in New York. That was the New York Jets identity. This is an identity that has been established since maybe Rex Ryan days, right? Tough, hard-nosed franchise. Humor hour. Shout out to you, man. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well, your family. But tough, they represent the city of New York, right? And they're not the Giants, right? They're not like the flashier versions of New York, right? They're just tough, hard-nosed football. And they make tough decisions, and they stand by those tough decisions. That's been the New York Jets I've seen for the past 15 years. But for the Houston Texans, I think they've been trying to find their identity by way of copying and pasting the New England Patriots. I've been super critical of this franchise for that. And I think that's why they've been, withholding information or not wanting to give the full details, or they're having these spats with some of the local reporters when they're asking real questions. Why is it hard for you to look yourself in the mirror and realize Davis Mills is not getting it done? 11 touchdowns on the year, 11 interceptions on the year. And I think his inabilities, I think his inabilities has cost J-Rock 5335 because a losing culture is hard to get rid of. Boy, hey, listen. You're right on that. By the way, if y'all in this live right now, send this to your friends. I really just want to talk Texans, and I want to talk football. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well. Peace and blessings. Listen, I received that. Peace and blessings to you, my boy Kevin P. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. But, yeah, they don't have a culture here. They don't have an identity here. They've been copying and pasting for 20 years. They're getting into these spats. Again, I don't think this is Lovie Smith, but I think the inabilities of Davis Mills this year has put pressure on Pep Hamilton. I think it will cost him his job because now the thinking is, well, and it's a fair thinking in the NFL, why would you bring in a new quarterback to a offensive coordinator who isn't getting it done right now? And I would like to combat that a little bit by saying, well, Pep Hamilton did in some ways help out Justin Herbert. Pep Hamilton in some ways did help out Andrew Luck. In some ways, Pep Hamilton has been very useful. But when we criticize him, we're criticizing him on his play calling. An issue with the play calling is, from what I'm seeing, when I go back and watch the film, I believe that he's handcuffed as a play caller. We are seeing a lot of 1-2 reads for Davis Mills. I don't think there's been trust within that coaching staff and Davis Mills since day one of preseason, right? You got to applaud Davis Mills. He did everything in the offseason to try to, win this team over, right? Working out with his receivers in Georgia, coming in early, staying late, the whole nine. He's just not getting it done, and it is what it is. What my boy said, Bryce Young and Damian Pierce going to be a mean combo. I can't wait to ask y'all about Bryce Young. Really can't. But, yeah, when you go back and watch some of these plays from Davis Mills, man, it's just like, well, you are overthrowing a 6'4" receiver. That's hard to do. That's hard to overthrow a 6'4" receiver. Your out route passes are sailing way out of bounds. That's hard to do. Well, it's not hard to do actually. Out route's probably one of the hardest throws in the league to make. Um, but you're doing it consistently. You are throwing the ball to the knees of an already short receiver in Brandon Cooks. You are missing touchdowns because you are frantic in the pocket. That's just what it is, right? And this has handcuffed this offense. This offense already moves, and I said this on the show, man. I never remember a time, not too many times, where a rookie running back is the focal point of an offense. We've seen rookie quarterbacks do that. We've seen rookie wide receivers do that. More on more occasions than we see rookie running backs, but without Damian Pierce, and it showed. This Texan team cannot move the ball. That is what it is. And yes, he's handcuffed. Well, my boy right here, so I think Pep is handcuffed, like you said. But the object is trying to protect Mills with a vanilla offense. Much love from the UK. UK! Shout out to the UK, man. TJ Williams, what's up, my guy? Hope you and your, man, I appreciate it, TJ. Hope you and yours have a great holiday as well. They may get rid of Lovey after this year. And if so, D'Amico Ryans and John Dorsey. We'll go back to Kevin Preston real quick. Yeah, vanilla offense. And he's not even, getting it done in that. Um, I don't want to speculate on whether or not these coaches are going to get fired this year or who they're going to bring in just yet. The Texans still got a lot of games to play left in this season, right? And so we'll just see how it plays out towards the end of the season. And I know for a lot of fans right now, this is the end of the season. Right now, a lot of fans are just counting down the days to their third week in April. I know y'all are. I know y'all are. I'm seeing it on Twitter. The Bryce Young debates, the C.J. Stroud debates, and I've been a part of the T.J. Will. I pray Kyle Allen plays well. First game beats the Browns, then I don't care if we lose out. That's the spirit. I think the only game people really want to see the Texans win is the Browns game. And I'm curious to see, because if you guys been at the NRG Stadium or if you've watched the broadcast or if you follow any of the reporters and they show the pictures, the NRG Stadium has been empty, right? That stadium sits thousands of people, and the NRG Stadium has been empty. But I am curious to see if come December 4th, that stadium won't be rocking. I feel like there's going to be customized towels. I feel like there's going to be people who still want Deshaun here in Houston. I feel like there's going to be people who don't know. They just, I don't know. But I feel like that stadium is going to be rocking on December 4th. And I can't wait to see it. Let's get to some of these. I pray Kyle Allen, we talked about that. Is there a scenario where Lovie Smith and Pep are gone and Nick kept around? He's going to hire third offensive quarter. Guys, my wife is calling me, so hold on real quick. Do I got to make a story run?
No, no.
Wives.
Did you want like a donut or something?
No, I don't want a donut.
Okay. Sorry.
It's my wife. Is there a scenario where Lovey and Pep are gone and Nick is kept around? Aaron, I'm going to be real with you, man. I've never seen in the NFL. And if you guys, on this live with me, let's really chop it up, man. I've never seen in the NFL, oh, of course, bro, I always love, where a general manager is allowed another year after another failed head coaching search. Now, granted, like I mentioned, this franchise doesn't have an identity. And it didn't have an identity really until, they don't have one, but it didn't have one when Nick Caserio got here. Okay. But they've been trying to mirror the Patriots for a very long time. Right? Look at the Bill O'Brien hiring. You look at some of the free agent signings and some of the decisions that they've made. With that being said, in the past 6 months, we've seen Cal kind of do some working back a little bit. Like, he knows he was bad. He knows he's been looking bad. He knows some of the decisions he's allowed to happen in that stadium has been bad, right? And the first thing Cal did was try to make it up to the fans. Without the fans, you don't have a franchise. And as much as people say that they don't want to watch the Texans or they hate the Texans now, let's keep it real. That stadium sits, I think, nearly 70,000. I could be, I don't know, but a lot of people. That's just the stadium. Fans are still watching from home, right? They just don't want to go at the stadium. But he did a lot of good work at just kind of reworking their relationship with some of the fans out there, and I applaud him on that. But now, you fire Jack Easterby, great move, right? Great decision. Regardless of what happened this past 6 months with Jack Easterby, it's clear that Jack Easterby had a huge hand in the demise of this franchise. Who, by the way, just 2 years ago, was it 2 years ago? Yeah, you're up 24-0 on the Chiefs. You look at that as when you lose that game, you look at that as a moment where you can build off of that and possibly return back to the AFC playoffs and maybe the AFC Championship game, who, by the way, the entire AFC South outside of the Houston Texans have been to. But then Jack used to be in, and then Brian Gaine is gone, and then Bill O'Brien is de facto general manager. But Jack used to be still around for that. Then he's fired. Jack used to be still around for that. Like, Jack used to be had a lot to do with some of the crazy decisions. But to get back to your question, I've never seen a general manager survive 3 new head coaches in 3 years. One of which was David Culley. Right, you come in year one, you want to set the ground and foundation for what you want your identity for this franchise to be, and then you go out and hire David Culley, who's never been a coordinator. He's been a coach, which I want to get to the second point of that. Josh McCown was also in the mix 2 years in a row. I'm not understanding this, and this is why I don't want to speculate about Lovie Smith, specifically Lovie Smith. Pep Hamilton, I'm not sure. But we did a show a few weeks back called the Opticals of Optics, and it looks bad to have a third head coach in 3 years when you pick the first two coaches. And again, I wanted to mention Jack Easterby because there was issues internally with who you wanted to hire head coach for your head coach, right? And this past coaching carousel, the likes of Jonathan Gannon, the likes of Kevin O'Connell, the likes of, I think Leslie Frazier was mentioned at one point, Brian Flores, like the likes of some of these coaches for modern football made a hell of a lot more sense than Lovie Smith, who, as a defensive coordinator last year, struggled with playing modern football defense. But he gets the job. That's not on Lovie Smith. That's on the guy who hired him. And for 2 years in a row, the head coaching search was botched. If you go into a third year with a new head coach, which, by the way, makes sense. But I look at it like this, guys. And we're going directly back to Aaron. I look at it like this, Aaron. If Lovey is gone, then Nick Caserio also needs to be gone as well, because I haven't seen it. I have not seen it. Same screen passes and plays last year. Pep Hamilton babysitting the offense. Nehemiah, like I said, man, how often on, let's put it like this, how often on 3rd and 9 do you see offensive coordinators now chickening out on play calling? This is Juice, by the way. How often do you see that, right? How often do you see, like, okay, especially if it's in a close game or a one-score game, which, by the way, we do have to give credit to how this team was performing early in the season. A lot of those one-score games were one-score games because they were super competitive and they really wanted to play. And I also think the losing for this franchise has really took a toll on these rookies, specifically Jalen Petrie. I think, look at Kenyon Green. I'll save Kenyon Green, but to get back to your point, how many times in modern football do you see a OC chicken out? I think that has a lot to do with who your quarterback is. If you don't have faith in your quarterback, and also this is a quarterback who you're trying to set up. I would specifically go to the game against the game before last, where Davis Mills throws to Chris Moore on an out route. Terrible pass, by the way. The defender was right there, and the pass wasn't good. And that looks to be his first read. Now, what I know about offenses and what I know about quarterbacks that are kind of, not the quarterback you would particularly want to run a full offense, there's always two reads. The Giants, was it the Giants? Was it the Giants? May have been the Giants. I can't remember off the top of my head. Happy Thanksgiving to me, right? But he misses bad throw to Chris Moore, but he misses Brandon Cooks when the defender has his name shown on the back of his jersey. There's always two reads in the offense for a handcuff quarterback. Always. And it's normally happening on the same side you're going to. Um, but I don't think that Pep Hamilton has faith in his quarterback, man. I'm gonna be real with you, dog. Like, and I get it. It's frustrating watching those plays because it's kind of like give him a chance, but can your quarterback give you a chance? Right? I specifically want to go back to Mitch Trubisky when he struggled in Chicago. And by the way, Mitch was in it was a Giants game. Shout out to Reggie Scott. Shout out to J Rock. But we look at Mitch Trubisky when he struggled, and as terrible of a coach I think Matt Nagy is, I think Matt Nagy at times tried to help out his quarterback. His quarterback couldn't help out himself. Then there was the pressure of being drafted over who he was drafted over, which, Mr. Trubisky getting drafted over Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes. It's kind of like Zach Wilson getting drafted over Justin Fields. Whatever. But again, I think those screen passes are working, or being called rather, because they don't trust their quarterback. That's just how I feel. Listen, TJ Williams, it took 2 years to clear deck. Now they got to show something next year with these picks and free agency. Head coach searches has been real sus. That's my knock on Nick and free agent right now. I know we can blame Jack, but man, it looks bad. TJ continues with, if we could sign one bigger name, I would be happy. Then draft, well, Deron Payne and Roquan Smith. Listen, I think that, come on, TJ. TJ, me and you may be buddies, brother. I'll tell you that right now. I think the Ravens are finna lock in Roquan, but I'm not 100% sure how they can lock him in and also lock in Lamar Jackson. So that still should be the Houston Texans' top free agent, like number two, because number one, Deron Payne. Deron Payne, Jeffrey Simmons. I'm naming all defensive tackles, not name Aaron Donald, who we know I can't even say May anymore. The only person I would compare or compete with Aaron Donald at defensive tackle is John Randall. But Aaron Donald is the greatest defensive tackle of all time, right? You got John Randall, then you got Warren Sapp and Aaron Donald. Those are my three. But right now, I got Jeffrey Simmons. I love his game, man. I love Jeffrey Simmons' game. And then we got Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. Allen is already locked in with the Commanders, but Deron Payne has been a player I've been wanting specifically for my own personal favorite team, the New England Patriots. But I think the Houston Texans could benefit so much from Deron Payne. Deron Payne is a player that you should be glad free agency is before the draft. Because if you guys follow the show, if you follow me on Twitter, you know how heavy I've been on Jalen Carter. I think Jalen Carter is a generational defensive tackle. We all could be wrong, but that's what I see on film and that's what I see on tape. But Deron Payne, you get Deron Payne in free agency, you don't got to worry about that. That's how much of a dog and game changer he is. If you're right, TJ, Jalen Carter is him. But Deron Payne is a dog. Deron Payne is a dog, like in every sense of the word. Brute strength, big, physical, quick with his feet, good hands, can beat you with strength, can beat you just by getting to a spot quicker than your guard or center can. Um, I think that he should be undoubtedly the Texans' top priority next year. But then you can ask me, what area should you spend free agency money at? Like I said, man, I think defensive tackle, linebacker, on the defensive side of the ball. Um, Shoot, man, really a lot of people are looking at Addison out of USC, and there's a ton of receivers coming out. Mechie's coming back healthy next year, but he's going to be a rookie. Nico Collins is on this team, but if you can find a receiver that is that can compete for the top two spot, then I think you can go out there and sign him. I'm leaning QB, but if not, Jalen got to be the pick. QB and trade back up my dream, but not realistic. We're going to see, TJ. Build the lines first. O-line, yes. I do agree with that. Listen, I'm glad you said that. This is Aaron Smith, Smithies. I hope I'm saying it right. Build the lines first. OL is almost there. DL needs some serious work. Build the lines and then work on the other positions. I'm going into the draft hype. That's from TJ. But back to Aaron. Absolutely, man. And I'm glad you said that because Keon Green, I said this on the show as well. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the Locked On Texan podcast. Keon Green is going to be okay. Like I think he's going to be okay. The issue is I don't think there's been a rookie outside of maybe picking one of these quarterbacks, but I don't think there's been a rookie this year that went through the gauntlet like Keon Green has. Guys, you go from Jeffrey Simmons, and who's a must, and the Titans' defensive front is pretty good. The following week, you play the Philadelphia Eagles. Now you don't play the Eagles with Jordan Cox, not Jordan Cox, Jordan Davis, but you still got Hargraves. You still got some dogs on that defensive line, right? So okay. Then the next week you got Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams for the New York Giants. This is 3 weeks in a row. The defensive line is getting tougher and tougher each week. Jeffrey Simmons in that defensive front. Hargraves in that defensive front. Leonard Williams and Dexter Lawrence in that defensive front. And Dexter Lawrence had his way with the Houston Texans offensive line. But then the next week, go up against Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. And Allen, who is a in the NFL. But that's 4 weeks in a row. By the time Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne came to town, man, as a rookie who not only are you going up against the best of the best at their position, you're also losing. You're losing some of these one-on-one battles. You're losing in the season. There's no real positive takeaway. Like, okay, well, I can get better at this, but we won a game. Winning games helps morale, right? It's none of that. When you get to your fourth game in a row, and I got to go up against these dogs, it's rough. And like I said, man, he didn't hit the rookie wall. The rookie wall hit him, then fell on top of him. Now he's got to claw his way out. Now he got a game against this coming Sunday. Again, y'all help me in the comments, man. Who the Texans play this Sunday? Who they play? They play somebody. Oh, they play Miami. That's right. I got a game against Miami where I could possibly get a break in talent. So I think that we will see better production from Kenyon Green this upcoming Sunday. But it's more reality. When your center at the beginning of the year quit, and I hope everything with Justin Britt is fine. Quisenberry, who has played some good football for the Houston Texans, but he's also struggling. Wilkins, but he like you said, TJ, he's not like the Paynes and the Allens and the. But Wilkins is pretty nice. Let's not get it wrong, but he's not the top of the top. But your Quisenberry isn't playing as much as as good as you want him to do, and then you got your rookie, right? And even H.A. Can has been struggling. The entire interior offensive line has been struggling. They've been going through the gauntlet. We almost hit the 30-minute mark, man. Listen, follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12 on Twitter. There we go. Favorite Thanksgiving dish, dog. Come on, man. Mac and cheese and dressing. I like to mix it up a little bit. A little menage a trois with my food. You know what I mean? You just mix it a little bit with the fork, scoop it in, and we're going to go about our day. Follow me on Twitter at John_Hickman12. Again, that's John_Hickman12. You guys tweet me. If you guys want to get back on a little bit later, we can do that, right? I'm all about football and family and friends and fun today. I'm going to try it now. Have a blessed one. Listen, get the fork. You got to get the mac and cheese first. Then get the dressing. Then you just got to kind of double whammy that thing. Thanks for answering all the questions. Enjoy your day. I appreciate it. I do want to say this, man. Shout out to a few media members in the city of Houston. First and foremost, my brother Cody Davis. Locked On Texans, cover the Rockets for Sports Illustrated. This man works 18 hours, 19 hours out of a 24-hour day. busts his ass. Make sure you check out his content. Make sure you check out Brandon K. Scott, his content. Find him on 610 Radio, the B Block Podcast, Big SARS Media. And I do want to say this, man. It's funny because me and Big SARS have conversations. If he comes on the show, a lot of our, serious conversations happen before or after the show or whenever we meet in person. On the rare occasions we do. He called the Brandon Cooks decline, and then early in the year he was the one advocating that Kyle Allen should be the starter for this team. So we'll see how Kyle Allen performs on Sunday. Sometimes you got to pat yourself on the back, right? I'm going to say this. I was the first one to call Nico Collins being the number one receiver on this team. It's obvious that he is the best option, and I think that the Houston Texans offense should feature more of Philip Dorsett and Chris Moore and prioritize them over Brandon Cooks. Their offense just looks better with them on the field compared to Brandon Cooks. What else, man? Make sure you guys go check out the Locked On Texans podcast we did with Coach Greg Knox. He's now up at Buffalo, the University of Buffalo, the Buffalo Bulls, but he was the running back coach for Damian Pierce at Florida. Great conversation. That was last week. Make sure you guys go check that out. And again, my last message to each and every one of you. This holiday season, this world is crazy, right? It's a crazy world we live in. You never really know what's going to happen whenever you leave your house. Whenever you're in your house. You never really know any of these things. But one thing you can do is try to enjoy each and every minute. We all have hard times. We all have bad times. But at the end of the day, enjoy it, man, as much as you can, right? Talk to your loved ones, right? My fellas out there, man, open up a little bit. Show more love. Show more, do what you got to do while you watching sports as well, because we all love them sports. Got any women fans out there? Women, we love you, right? This isn't one of those places where we neglect women or we don't think women can do what they can, because we know you guys are capable of everything, right? But overall, let's just show love this holiday season. Let's get in that spirit, and let's just beat the Browns, right? Houston, beat the Browns. If you beat the Browns, all of your sins of this season will be forgiven. And with that being said, y'all have a good holiday season. We may talk later.